Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Constantinide and I'm an international human rights lawyer. This video is about how to become an international legal practitioner. And the answer to this is so simple, so straightforward, but nevertheless I do get asked this question so much through the comment section below. But sometimes I do appreciate that the most difficult questions are the most simple ones. So the answer to that is you can be an international human rights lawyer or international legal practitioner if you have an international element in your cases. So what does that mean? It means that you're shifting your domestic practice into the international legal arena. So that means you could be either dealing with cross-border matters, so it could be between two different jurisdictions, but that still doesn't qualify as an international per se. When we're talking about international, mainly we're talking about cases that are before perhaps the ICC, the International Criminal Court, the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, and the Hybrid Court. So when the domestic law cannot deal with it and it actually shifts from the domestic area into the international legal area. So it needs to have an international element. So how do you become an international legal practitioner? Your cases need to have an international element. Now, you may wisely ask me the question, how do I get to have those cases that they do have the international element? And the answer to this is two parts. The first part is that whereby you perhaps an in-house legal practitioner at NGOs or the United Nations, where by definition there are international things happening in that community. But at the same time, if you're self-employed like myself, barrister, that we somehow have to get out there and get those cases, and of course we do it hand in hand with our clerks in chambers, of course that becomes a bit more complicated. I'm saying complicated because barristers by nature, we're not very good perhaps on marketing ourselves. It does take a great deal about expose yourself either through the social media, but at the same time attending conferences and doing talks, and really put yourself out there and reaching out there either to human rights activists, if I may talk about the international criminal and international human rights, or indeed to actually go beyond your domestic practice and reach for those cases or collaborations or work together or have joint instructions with perhaps other international legal practitioners to be able to get yourself to understand a bit more about the international legal arena. So this is how you become an international legal practitioner. But let's not forget that I'm talking by practice anything that has to do with international criminal law and international human rights. But there is also the other aspect of international law, which is it could be arbitration has an international element, international commercial law, alternative dispute resolutions, ADR, that they deal with companies, so it could have the international element. So it's not just about the areas of law that I'm mentioning, but for those that are a bit more commercialized, I'm afraid that my experience is a bit more limited, so I can't talk by experience, but it may be worth actually looking into the big firms and subscribe to the newsletters and just get this inside look as to how to get the international aspect when it comes into international commercial law area. So I hope that you find this helpful. I know it's a very straightforward question, but nevertheless, it is a question that gets asked a lot. Now, how do you do it? The ins and outs, I'm going to prepare a separate video about it. How do you actually get a case, an international legal case? I'm going to prepare a separate video because there is a lot of points to talk about. But the thing that you need to take from this video is that your practice needs to have an international element, and it can start by as simply by attending talks or even talk yourself out there to speak about perhaps something that you study. So if you've done international criminal law and you've done a dissertation, just go for it. Just make a symposium yourself, organize it, and talk about that area of law that you specialize. So simple steps, but nevertheless very important steps towards conceptualizing your international profile. I hope you find this video helpful. If you did, I would love to have a coffee with you, but I know it's not possible virtually to have that. So that's why I created this link about buying me a coffee. So if you do buy me a coffee virtually, hopefully we can have it one day in person. But if you do buy me a virtual coffee, that way you are supporting this community and to continue making this content for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Bye bye.